So I want to welcome right away our first speaker, Christine Lanphere.
Thank you. Good afternoon, or good evening almost. So I want to talk to you about connected circles, skipping stones, and spheres of influence. Connected circles, we're all connected to a variety of people. We're connected professionally and personally. We have spheres of influence. We have spheres of influence over students, sometimes over colleagues, and sometimes over family members. But where does skipping stones come in? I'm going to tell you. So we're all part of different circles. Our personal circles of family and friends, our professional circles, teachers, students, admin, our circles of the activities that we do when we're not teaching or working. Do any of you not ever work? I don't know what that's about. But we might be in creative circles, we might be in fitness circles. We're all involved in circles. Sometimes those circles intersect. Sometimes they don't. So I'm going to explore with you the concept of what happens when you enter into circles. When I was a child, very often my family would go spend part of our summer vacation in nature. Nowadays, I don't do that. I prefer hotels. But then it was really fun. We would go camping, we might even go fishing, we might ride horseback, and we often met up with my grandparents in the Eastern Sierra because my grandfather was an avid outdoorsman. And when my mother was growing up, they would frequently spend a lengthy part of their summer vacation in the Eastern Sierra, packing in way outside of civilization to camp, hunt, fish, hike, and generally absorb the beauty of nature. And the picture I chose to show you is one of the places that was especially beloved of my grandfather's, and that's Convict Lake near Mammoth in the Eastern Sierra. And it's just spectacular. One of the fond memories that I have is my grandfather's relatively unsuccessful attempts to teach me how to skip stones. And I don't know if you've ever tried to skip a stone, but it's really kind of difficult. And it is part science, with the physics of the stone bouncing off the water's surface, and part art. And part of the art is the result, but the art of knowing exactly how to finesse that stone. One of the primary things you have to do if you're going to skip a stone is you have to carefully select the stone that you're going to skip. And the best skipped stones, similar to the ones on the screen, are flat, broad, smooth, not too heavy, so that they will bounce off the surface of the water and spread circles across the pond or the lake. The result is, if you do it right, which I hardly ever did, is a series of concentric circles that send ripples out slowly across the surface of that body of water. And sometimes those circles connect, so that the one circle becomes part of the other circle. Now, I'm part of many different circles in my professional life. You probably are also. First and foremost, I'm a teacher. I skip my stone into my students' lives. I skip my stone into my colleagues' lives, whether they want it or not. I skip my stone into and with admin at the site and district level. I'm also involved heavily into professional development, both as a participant but as a presenter and an organizer. So I skip my stone into those workshops, and I skip my stone into the colleagues' lives that help me work on those workshops. Finally, the circle of my professional associations, which are very, very dear and important to me as a professional. I skipped my stone into local and state and national associations as a participant and as a leader in some cases. So when I came across the 20-year mark as a teacher, I said to myself, wow, that's potentially 2/3 of my teaching career. I wonder, how many students have I actually taught? And I started doing the mental math on that, and those of you who know me well know that I'm a counter. I count how many students are in my class so I know how many pairs there will be. I count how many copies I need, A, B activity, in order to make that work. I count the number of people who are in the room when I'm presenting. And, oh, by the way, I haven't had a chance to count you all, so would you make sure you stay put after I'm done? I'm going to do that. But seriously, I count, and I'm interested in those numbers. And so I started thinking, okay, 20 years, but if I conservatively estimate that maybe I have 130 students each year, and I might have more one year, less the next, and I do that mental math, I come up with a rather daunting figure of 2,600 students. That's a lot of lives that I have skipped my stone into their circle. And then I thought, oh, well, but some of my students stay with me more than 1 year. But you know what? I skip that stone even more times into their circle. And in some cases, because I've been in my school for 20 years, I've had the older sibling and the younger sibling and the next younger sibling and the cousins, and I've skipped my stone into families in a lot of different ways. And those ripples have gone out into their families and their community. For better or for worse, obviously. That's a lot of ripples. Now, as a teacher, I've skipped my stone into many different students' lives. But then you start thinking about the ones that are special. And there's one in particular I want to tell you about, and that's Sarah. Only a few of my students have continued to stay in touch with me after they left, and Sarah was one of them. Sarah graduated, and she went off to the local university, and she stayed in touch with me and told me that she was going to major in English and minor in French, which made me very proud. And then she told me about a year later she was going to go study abroad in Bordeaux, France. That made me thrilled. And then she came back from Bordeaux, and she said, hey, can I come visit? And I said, yeah, would you like to talk to my French 3 AP class about your experience? And she said, would I have to do it in French? I said, well, of course. Okay. And then I almost cried because she spent 45 minutes talking the most beautiful French to those students, telling them about the passion she felt going to France. And I saw how much that experience had affected her proficiency, and I was so proud. And then she let me know she had decided to double major in English and French. And then she told me, I got a credential in French and I'm teaching in Nebraska. By the way, it's not the same student, not the same person as Tony's. But here's a situation where my stone as a teacher skipped into her circle as a student, but now her stone is skipping into my circle as a professional colleague. And that's powerful ripples. Another area that I invest myself in professionally is professional development. I'm very active in the California World Language Project. I've been involved in the team at the Sacramento site for 15 years. And most recently, I stepped into a co-director position of that site. I have the opportunity to skip my stone into the circles of professional colleagues all over Northern California, and to skip my stone into the circles of the leadership team and to receive their stones in our collaboration. And those ripples are very powerful indeed. I decided to do the math on that one as well, and it almost blew my mind. I estimated, because I know these statistics because I have to manage them, that we serve approximately, at least conservatively, 100 teachers per year. And if you estimate that those 100 teachers have perhaps 130 students each year, and you multiply that, And that means that our project potentially touches the lives and skips our stones into the circles of more than 10,000 students a year. That's huge. I'm also involved in a lot of professional associations. I was very fortunate as a young beginning teacher to be encouraged by my master teachers to become involved with the local professional association and the state professional association. Since then, I have been not only a member of local, state, and national associations, but I have also had the good fortune of being involved in leadership in those organizations, most notably the great honor that I had in 2007 to serve as National Teacher of the Year. When people ask me, why do you give up so much of your free time? And isn't it making you tired to do all that stuff? I think about it and I say, well, yes, it's time, it's energy, but when I skip my stone out into those professional associations at whatever level they are, I receive skip stones back. And the ripples come back to me, energize me, and provide me with a sense of fulfillment, a sense of community, a sense of network. If you attend a conference, you're skipping your stone. If you present at a conference, you're skipping your stone for the people in your session. If you serve on the board of a local or state or national organization, you're skipping your stone even farther. If you're one of the people who volunteers to organize an after-school or a Saturday workshop, you're skipping your stone and making a difference in the professional lives of other teachers. Think what you're doing this weekend. You're here. You are here with nearly 7,000 other world language professionals. If you are attending sessions, that presenter is skipping their stone into your circle. And if you turn and talk to a partner, you're skipping your stone into their world as well. If you're presenting a session or a workshop, you're skipping your stone into each of the professional circles of the people in the room. If you attend the networking events in the exhibit hall, you're skipping your stone. If you go talk to an exhibitor, you're skipping a stone. Now think about, this is one conference, think about how many times you do that each year. As you're teaching, you're skipping your stone every day into every one of your students' circles. As a leader or member of a professional association, you're skipping your stone. If you attend professional learning or present professional learning, how many times are you skipping your stone? And how many ripples are going out from that stone? So I want to leave you with this thought. You know how many times you skip your stone. And if you were to skip your stone one more time, what would be the result? Now get out there and skip your stones. Thank you.